Frequent Miler on the Air starts now. Today's main event. Is Chase going to drop the hammer on manufactured spending?
Sounds ominous.
It is ominous. So we will debate that and decide for Chase what they're going to do about that. First, of course, we have the giant mailbag. And let's see what we have today from the reader feedback. Today we have a message from Devro H, who says, just discovered you guys a few weeks ago, and I can't get enough. Could listen to you talk points and miles forever. Keep up the great work.
And we hope you do. We hope you do.
That's right. We're going to do our best to fill you up so you get enough.
Hopefully. No. There's never enough, Greg. There's never enough. Always more coming at you next week. So.
Deborah is going to be fed up in a couple of weeks. Don't worry about it.
We'll see. I mean, it's good to have you here, though, with us. And, that's kind of fun because that comment, where did that comment come in from? Do you remember? Was it like podcast, YouTube, email?
I can't remember, to be honest. Yeah. Usually I write down where they came from, but I didn't this time. So.
Right. Always nice to get new people discovering us, and if they were discovering the show, hey, that's awesome. That's great. That's we hope that people are doing that. So
absolutely,
nice. That's a great.
I thought this was a good counterbalance. I think it was last week that I read one that was a little bit on the negative side, and it's nice to nice to get a good pat on the back every now and then.
Positivity, right. Remind us that we're doing something right.
Right.
Once in a while.
So, yeah. All right. So moving on.
So what crazy thing did Spirit do this week?
Yeah. So Spirit Airlines, in their attempt to woo us as bloggers to write great things about them, they sent us each, me and Nick, a box of Spirit swag. And it's not just any swag.
We're not talking pens and eye shades here. This was like
right.
Serious.
I mean, there were pens, but that was the very least of what was there. So this was like amazing stuff. I mean, stuff I've never seen before. Do you want to quickly run down what?
Yeah,
what
I mean,
in your box?
After you get through the pens and the pad and the stuff that you might expect, there was a nice water bottle. And I mean, I've got a nice Frequent Miler water bottle, but this was another nice water bottle. But that's kind of pedestrian still too. Yeah. Then they had packing cubes, and hey, I like packing cubes, so I was kind of happy with that. It'll be kind of fun to pull out my free Spirit packing cube at some point on a first-class flight. I look forward to pulling that out and getting a picture with my free Spirit packing cube. So that was kind of fun. But then, they upped the ante. Well, I guess I skipped right over the silicone cups here that, is coming in handy here. But no,
I think one more thing about the packing cubes, though. Aren't there's some hotels where you have like a butler who like unpacks your things? Like that's where you need those packing cubes.
Perfect. The free Spirit packing cubes when they're
it's St. Regis or wherever. And
I wonder if they'll even know Spirit Airlines at the St. Regis someplace else, but I'll know, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah, you'll feel good about it.
So in the up the ante a bit, they give us a battery pack, but not just any battery pack. It's a wireless battery pack. So if you got a wireless charging phone, you can charge off of that. Also had built-in cables for iPhone and Android. So, fumbling around to see if you have the cable to connect. I loved that. I was like, oh, that's perfect. I'm always looking in my bag for the cable. Awesome to cut out the middleman there.
Absolutely.
Then maybe my favorite or second favorite thing was an umbrella, and not just any old umbrella. An umbrella with a built-in Bluetooth speaker.
Yes.
Which might be the most impractical idea I have ever seen.
Have you ever seen there's an old show called Get Smart way back when?
I think I read about it in a history book at some point.
Yeah, this would be a history book. So in that show, the hero is like a spy, like a good spy for the US, and he has very impractical devices. So his phone. So this was back before cell phones were a thing, right? But he had a shoe phone. So he would take off his shoe and talk on the phone. And another thing he had was when he had to meet in private with someone, they would pull down the cone of silence like over their heads and have to shout because this cone would like keep all noise away from even each other. And this umbrella thing reminds me of both, because I was looking at it. It's not just Bluetooth for playing music. You could talk on the phone.
I didn't even realize that you could talk on the phone. Oh, that's fantastic.
So you pull this dome over your head and talk on your umbrella phone.
The driving downpour and then talk on your umbrella phone. Of course, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Right. So it's Get Smart all over again.
The funny part of that story is that I sent an email out to their marketing person afterwards. Say, oh, thanks. It was really surprising. There was some fun stuff in there, and I mentioned the umbrella, and he said that originally he had put it together. He said originally he had just had a regular umbrella, but one of his colleagues had ordered a bunch of those Bluetooth umbrellas, and he's like, oh no, this has to go in those boxes. Right. Absolutely. So, automatic up and down, snazzy stuff. I don't know where and when I'm going to use the Bluetooth, but hey, it's fun, right? You got to admit it's fun.
Yeah. You could also put an SD card in there. So if you don't have your phone paired up with it, if you've downloaded a bunch of episodes of Frequent Miler on the air and you want to just listen every time it's a rainy day.
Right. That's why not? Why wouldn't you? That's what everybody does, I think, right? That's what Devo is going to be doing pretty soon.
Yeah. Maybe our listeners in Portland, Oregon, or I don't know, where does it rain a lot? Maybe they'll be like, this sounds totally logical. Why wouldn't we do this?
Of course. Here, all this time I've been holding my phone in the rain. Now I can keep it in my pocket, right? That's what I know. There's at least a couple of people thinking that.
Right.
So nice desk lamp for the built-in charger.
The desk lamp is awesome. Yeah.
It's bright. It's got like some different color temperatures.
So Spirit, like known as like the budget, extreme budget airline, is sending us like this ultra premium swag.
Right. I mean, there was well over $100 worth of swag in there, right?
Right. And so their goal of getting us to say nice things has worked, because we're saying nice things about the swag. So there you go. Good job.
There you go. Well, you win, Spirit. You win.
So the swag master there deserves a raise.
Well, I clearly I wrote and I was like, whoever put that together deserves a pat on the back, because I mean, every now and then maybe we come across an opportunity to get some swag of some sort, or over the years I've done other types of promotions and gotten some swag. Never swag like this. This was definitely like up a notch. And come on, seriously, would anybody have expected that from Spirit? Right. Like I would have expected a T-shirt that rips the first time you wear it or something, right? And
I mean, that's the funny thing is they sent us swag a few months ago, which was like more normal swag, like a notebook and a coffee mug, and mine actually came chipped. The coffee mug was broken.
Chipped.
So that was what I expected. No, this was great.
This time around, yeah, kind of cool. And they won because we're talking about it now, and they won because I spent some extra time looking at Spirit this week and wrote about it because I found some things that I thought were good. So maybe we'll talk about that later. But I have a feeling there's a roast coming on that. But at any rate, it was it was kind of fun. So crazy thing, Spirit. You're crazy. I don't know what you were thinking. I don't know how much mileage you thought you were going to get out of that box, but I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of it because there was some stuff in there that I wanted.
Right. And, hopefully all the other airlines and hotel programs are listening and are just like preparing giant boxes of swag to send us.
Right.
Because they want to get on the show.
That's right. City. I know you're sad that you haven't been on What Crazy Thing for a few weeks here. So come on, send us something crazy, City.
Yeah. Let's do that.
All right. So that brings me then to Mattress Running the Numbers. Speaking of crazy stuff this week, Mattress Running the Numbers. Should everybody be getting a Motley Fool subscription this week, Greg?
It seems like it, doesn't it? So,
well, let's back that up. Nick here with something I recorded after the show. So at the time we recorded the show, the deal we're about to talk about was available and seemed like an amazing deal. Unfortunately, yesterday, the day after we recorded this, but the day before this podcast publishes, the Motley Fool reached out to us directly to tell us that the stack will no longer work, and they have since been removed from all of the various shopping portals. So you're going to hear about this deal here, but if you didn't hop on it right away, it's going to be too late. You'll want to go to frequentmiler.com/subscribe and get on our instant email list so that next time there's a deal like this, you'll find out about it right away. All right, back to Greg.
All right. So what's going on is that Amex has a broadly available offer that you could load to one of your Amex cards. That's, what is it? It's $99 off of $99 spend with Motley Fool, which is exactly what it costs, right? For a 1-year subscription?
Whatever the cheapest 1-year
so-
email subscription is.
Right. So far, this is probably only moderately interesting to most listeners because it's like, okay, that's great. You get Motley Fool for free for a year, but I don't really want that, or I only mildly care about it. But that's not really where it's interesting. Tell me where does this get really interesting?
Well, it's interesting because there are portals offering nearly 100% back on the cost of the subscription. So there's like Dollar Dig and Rebates Me. We're offering like $87.50 or $85 cash back. I think Glamour Rewards was $80 cash back. When we first posted it, Swag Bucks was $75, but I think they pulled that since. Or then airline portals had payouts, like the American Airlines portal is offering 7,400 miles, at least they still are at the time we're recording this, for signing up for the $99 subscription. Alaska was 5,400 and United was 5,800. Other airline portals were offering something too. Chase portal 7,500 points. Not totally sure that it'll pay out properly via Chase. I think it probably will if you use an Amex, but I'd probably stick with one of the other options in case it doesn't pay out through Chase.
Right.
And then it gets even better because there were also some card linked offers that Steven linked to, where you could link your card, your Amex card, to Caesars Rewards or Choice Privileges. Caesars Rewards is paying 36 points a dollar. So you're talking 3,600 Caesars Rewards points for using the Amex card after you click through the portal.
$36?
I think so. Yeah.
You know?
And Caesars Rewards. I think that's what I understand Caesars Rewards to be. So
right.
Like $36 worth of food, potentially help you get into a lounge or whatever. Or if you're not a big into Caesars, Choice Privileges was offering 26 points per dollar. And that's the one I did because I was like, I could always use 2,600 Choice Privileges points. Why not? So especially if it stacks, I did the 7,400 American Airlines miles because one of our accounts was like a little short of a useful threshold with American Airlines.
Sure.
And that 7,400 pulled us right up to one of those useful thresholds where I was like, okay, that's an amount that I might use on an award ticket. Perfect. Because that just kind of threaded the needle to get me there in one fell swoop. What about you? Did you sign up first of all? And if you did, what did you sign up through?
I haven't done it yet. So, I was waiting for this conversation so I could learn about all the options so that I didn't have to read because you know how I hate reading.
Sorry. Right. So you're lucky that all of those, I think, are still going on. I think they're all still going.
So I kind of like American Airlines miles for the portal because there's not that many ways anymore to get American Airlines miles. Like we've talked before, how there's no good banks that have AA as a transfer partner. And it used to be you could sign up for American Airlines credit cards over and over and over and get the miles forever, but you can't really do that anymore. So I guess if you compare it to $75 back, it's like paying just barely over a penny per mile. So that seems good.
That seems reasonable to me.
I'm likely to do that. We'll see.
Yeah, and I figured I could probably leverage it for a little bit more value than that, at least a little bit more. And then if I get lucky with these web special awards, I mean, I could probably get a one-way, a saver award if you have an American Airlines credit card, and they're 7,500 one way. So that's basically a reduced mileage award one way within the United States domestic economy. Or with a lot of the web specials, you may very well get another decent one that's not on the reduced mileage award chart. Or even last year at some point, we saw those flights to Australia or New Zealand, probably a mistake, but they were like 5,000 miles each way, right? So
right.
So I'll take the 7,400 American miles.
Yeah, and now that Americans, award flights are freely cancelable. You get your miles back, you get any taxes back. I'm just much more excited about the program than I ever was before because of that. So
I mean,
yeah,
the same
yeah.
same kind of argument can be made for Alaska because they're not an easy transfer partner either.
Hmm.
Only 5,400 Alaska miles, which I
Yep.
tend to value more than American miles. So in a normal world, I feel like, I mean, I shouldn't even say that, but if I wasn't in the same situation, all else was equal, I might have gone towards the Alaska
Hmm.
side. But in our case, my wife and I each have six-figure balances in Alaska miles right now, and we don't have as many American miles because we spent a whole ton of them a few years ago.
Right.
This was a good opportunity to pick up a chunk in one fell
Yeah.
swoop
Yeah. Yeah.
at no cost. So,
All
so
right.
there
Cool.
you go. So to hop on that, definitely also a crazy thing, but certainly worth doing. Now, if you got multiple people in your household, how do you play it? Can you go through the American Airlines portal over and over again for each person in your household? Do you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, I guess what I'm wondering is, are there any limitations on the Amex offer, or on like Motley Fool subscriptions to somehow be tied to a household as opposed to a person? I would guess though that you could you could get all of those dips per person, as long as you're, you know, uh, the card link offers. I think you'd probably have to have separate accounts. Maybe, actually, I don't even know if that's true.
The card link
Um,
offers, I don't know. I didn't look at the terms there, but I know the American Airlines portal terms say you can do it once.
okay,
So
all right.
if you're using the American portal, once per person. So you got to do it under each person's
So you
separate
sign
American
in
Airlines
as
account.
another person. Yeah,
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean the other person signs in.
Right. The
To
other
be clear,
person signs in and use their own card that they have
that's right.
stamped with the offer because they logged in themselves, Greg.
Exactly. Right. Right.
So, make sure everybody in your family does it. That's all I'm saying. Make sure
So it
everybody
sounds
takes
like
care of
there's is there any risk? So, some people are worried, especially after what happened with that Wine Insiders thing, where that was an Amex offer to get up to $60 back from $60 spend on wine. But if you went through a portal, or if you bought discounted wine, or if you sort of looked at the website funny,
Yeah. Right.
then they wouldn't pay out. Are there any similar risks here?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
This one, it says you have to buy it directly from the Motley Fool, but I think that was all it said in terms of
Okay.
a specification. And you are buying it directly from the Motley Fool. You're clicking through the American Airlines portal, but it's taking you right to the Motley Fool's
Right.
website. I
Right.
already received the Amex offer email saying congratulations, you used your Amex offer. I already received the email from American Airlines saying you got a traffic or a purchase rather that's tracking to post. I haven't received anything from Choice Privileges yet, but I'm not that concerned. That's the smallest piece of the deal. That's
Sure.
gravy. If it comes through, great. I don't see why it wouldn't, because it's a card linked offer. You don't have to click through anything on the Choice Privileges site. You just have to link the card number. So I
Yeah.
assume that that's going to work too. But no confirmation there. But 2 out of 3. That's good for me. I get my money back. One thing I guess worth noting is when I checked out, it was saying $99, and then I didn't really take a close look at the end, and they did
Mhm.
charge sales tax, or at least it looks like they did anyway. The pre-authorization shows the
Hmm.
sales tax, so it was a couple dollars more expensive, like 108. I'm going to get 99 back, so it is going to cost me like $9 for my 7,400 American Airlines miles, but I'll take that trade.
Gotcha. Yeah. Do they have? I know it's a electronic subscription, right?
It is.
Yeah. So there might be a way, like the people who live in New Hampshire or Delaware, one of those tax-free states, probably won't get charged sales tax.
And I wondered if it wasn't the kind of thing where that's what it showed, but then later on it wouldn't actually charge you that.
That's possible.
And I think that might be possible here specifically because initially it showed that amount, but I didn't receive an email from the Motley Fool. Oddly enough, after completing checkout, I assumed I'd
Hmm.
receive like a welcome to the Motley Fool email.
Right.
Nothing from the Motley Fool at all. I was able to create an online account and all that jazz. No sort of email confirmation from them that I had bought anything, and nothing from
Yeah.
Amex immediately. But then very early the next morning, I got the first email from Motley Fool saying, welcome to Motley Fool. Here's your first email. And I also received the Amex offer. Congratulations, you redeemed your offer. So I'm wondering if they just didn't put the finalized purchase through until the next morning. And so there's a
Yeah.
possibility
Yeah.
that the tax.
So did the Motley Fool
We'll see.
email have some tax advice? Did it say things like sell short on GameStop and BlackBerry because now's the time?
No, I mean, it should have, or something like that. Because, yeah, I mean, Yeah, if you've been watching that at all this week, been a crazy week on that, that's for sure. So it's I didn't see any mention of GameStop in there. Didn't see any mention of AMC or all these other craziness that's been going on all week. So if you haven't been following that,
because
it's been nuts.
that could be where the real risk is if you follow some advice and lose a bunch of money.
Right.
But that's
Right.
always
No
true
kidding. And some
with
people
stock.
surely. Right. Yeah. And I mean, and let's be clear here. I'm not saying that you should get the Motley Fool to follow their stock advice. I have
Right.
no idea if their stock advice is any good. And my personal opinion is that anybody who knows the future is going to, first of all, their crystal ball works better than anybody else's. And why would they tell anybody that they're able to predict it? So I don't really buy into anybody's stock advice, just personal opinion. So I have no interest in the subscription. It's just the miles here. I'll look at it for entertainment value, but I'm not telling you that you should buy the stocks that they tell you to buy.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So on this, what we're calling a mattress run, even though it has nothing to do with mattress running, I think we're giving it 2 thumbs up. Like, why wouldn't you do this, right?
Yeah, I mean, get on it. Get on it. Come on.
Make sure you. I guess the thing you have to make sure you do kind of right away, and I did was actually register for that Amex offer, because sometimes offers go away prematurely, or they have some limit maybe of how many people they're willing to sign up, something like that.
Yeah. So get on it. Okay. That brings us to the main event.
It does. So Chase sent out some emails this past week, and people got nervous.
They did. We got like one email after another from people who were like, "Oh my goodness, I just got this email. Oh man, this email came through. It was posted in Frequent Miler Insiders. Everybody's waking out like, oh my goodness, is the end here?" Right. So what do you think? I mean, Chase sent out an email, and they basically said, "Hey, we're not going to give you rewards for some transactions, right?"
Right. So actually, I have some of the content of it here, so I can read out the relevant parts. The relevant stuff was that they said certain cash-like transactions will be treated as cash advances, and I hope everyone knows why that's bad. You get charged for them. You don't earn rewards on cash advances. You just don't want that to happen. There are it's almost like a snowball too of bad things happening, because you start incurring interest on those charges. It's just
immediately.
Bad. Yeah. Immediately. Yeah. Okay. So then it goes on to say cash-like transactions include but are not limited to the following transactions to the extent they are accepted. So that's kind of interesting. There's kind of right off the bat saying, if we don't approve of a charge, then you won't be charged a cash advance, which I think is obvious, but it's in there. Anyway, okay, so here are the things. The first bullet is purchasing traveler's checks, foreign currency, money orders, wire transfers, cryptocurrency, other similar digital or virtual currency, and other similar transactions. What I want to point out here is this is the bullet where if they had wanted to say gift cards, they should have said gift cards, but they didn't.
Right. And I mean, so if you're a conspiracy theorist, maybe you think, oh, well, they said other similar transactions so that they can penalize you for buying gift cards. Except why? Why would they do that? If they want to charge a cash advance fee, it isn't because they're going to make billions of dollars on gift card cash advance fees. It's to discourage the behavior. And if they want to discourage the behavior, why wouldn't they be explicit and just say, hey, you can't buy gift cards?
Right. So, yeah.
And they didn't say that.
Right. And so manufactured spending, for anyone who hasn't listened to a bunch of our shows, is ways of increasing credit card spend in ways that you either get the money back or you use it to pay bills that you would have had to pay with cash anyway. And people often do that by buying gift cards, buying like Visa or MasterCard gift cards, then using those gift cards to either buy money orders or pay bills. And so yes, it says in here you can't buy money orders, but that means buying directly with credit cards. We're talking about this like in between thing where you buy a gift card, then you buy money order with a gift card. There's nothing explicit in here that says you can't buy the gift card. So that is, I think, very good news.
Yeah, I think it's great news. I think they easily could have had that in there if that's what they wanted in there. And I
Right.
can't imagine that they're not aware that people have bought some gift cards with their cards before. So, it's not that I think that that's their preferred use of their cards, but clearly, I think it's clear anyway. It's not bothering them that much.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that they're very, very aware of what people are doing. I mean, there's just no question about that. And the fact that they made the deliberate decision not to list it, I think is very telling and
Mhm.
somewhat surprising. Like, I
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of thought that they would follow Amex's footsteps at some point and try to lay down the law against gift cards, but they don't seem to have done that. And I don't know why. But
I don't either. I share in your surprise. It doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't make sense to me. It's surprising to me that they haven't gone that route because they could certainly reduce the rewards that they're paying out that way. But clearly, they don't think that that is in their best interest. They think that
right,
people like
right,
their cards and use their cards a lot, and I presume they find that it makes them a lot of money, and so they're not upset about it. I
right.
think. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
what I
don't know.
gather.
In the past, we've talked about how like the cards, like the ink cash, which gets 5 points per dollars at office supply stores, and you can go to Staples or Office Depot and buy gift cards. We've talked about how it has limits to how much 5x you get per year, and so that's how they kind of limit their damage. And so, that was kind of like how we believed, since they're explicitly managing the risk that way, maybe that's why they're not cracking down on gift card purchases. But then last year, they came out with new bonus categories for their Freedom cards. That includes 3x at drugstores, where you can buy any gift cards you want, and there's no apparent limit. So I don't know. I don't know if that's
An oversight or
well,
intentional,
I don't.
and
Yeah,
you know
I don't know what's going on there.
and
I
let's
kind
be
of wish there
clear,
was a
we're
limit.
not saying right, because then you'd know where the speed limit is. Let's be clear, we're not telling you
Yeah,
to go buck wild at the drugstore,
no,
or that you can manufacturers spend all day long on all your chase cards, because that's not necessarily the case. People do sometimes get shut down, and if you start all of a sudden ramping up with activity that's nothing like your usual spending patterns, you're just asking for attention that you don't want. So we're not saying that it's like the Wild West here, but rather
right,
that
right.
Chase had an opportunity to say no soup for you, and they didn't. They said, they're going to charge cash advances for things that pretty clearly are cash advances, right? I mean,
Right, right.
like
Well, hold on though. There are some more bullets here that are
okay,
worth
uh-oh.
discussing. So,
All right.
the next bullet, I think is not that surprising, but for anyone doing these things, purchasing lottery tickets, casino gaming chips, racetrack wagers, and similar offline and online betting transactions. I haven't done any of that, so it's not like something that affects me, but I could see it being an issue for people. Um,
It'll disappoint some people. Yeah.
Yeah, another one, person-to-person money transfers and well, let me stop there. So like theoretically paying someone else with Venmo, even though you're paying the Venmo fee, might result in a cash advance if this is true. Account funding
Well, and that's
transactions
not
that
really
transfer
new.
currency.
Let me stop you there. That's not really new. I mean, there was a
Okay.
New York Times article last year about that happening, and there were a number of posts, Dr. Credit and other places, about issuers starting to charge cash advances on Venmo transactions. So you're already in dangerous territory with Venmo, like for months already. So that's not exactly news.
Okay, right. So that's not news, but it's just something to be aware of. Account
Right.
funding transactions that transfer currency. So here's the thing. Doctor of Credit maintains, and we've talked about this many times, a list of bank accounts where you can fund the there's initial funding of a new bank account you could do with a credit card, and they maintain a list of which ones are treated as cash advances versus purchases. And I don't know that we'll be able to trust that list once this new rule goes into effect, because theoretically they're going to be going through and changing some settings. Just theoretically, it might be that nothing in practice will change, but it could be that things that before, where you could open I'm just going to make one up. I don't know if this is true. Let's say you could open a PNC bank account today, and load it with $500 from a credit card. Maybe before it wasn't a cash advance transaction, but maybe it will be in the future. So something to watch out for.
And so in that scenario, what can you do to protect yourself apart from just not using a Chase card? I mean, it seems like an obvious potential answer, but what would you do in order to try to avoid that problem?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you could do is you could call Chase and ask to lower your cash advance limit, ideally to zero. Sometimes they won't go all the way to zero. So whatever they'll lower it to, then as long as the amount you're trying to load to the bank is more than that limit, theoretically they'll deny you rather than approve you and charge you a cash advance fee. The downside of that is there are some cases where a transaction gets approved as a cash advance, but then the actual transaction is a purchase, and so you'd be locked out of those kind of situations. But that's kind of risky anyway, I think.
Right. So and that's disappointing. It's not the end of the world because it's not. There aren't accounts like back in the day. There were accounts where you could fund an account with, like $50,000 or $75,000 and put it on a credit card and
Citibank 100,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that was hugely rewarding. These days, I don't think I've seen one that you could fund with a credit card for more than like $1,000, and even that is not particularly common. It's more like a $500 limit. So you're not going to become a points millionaire funding bank accounts. Most likely. The nice thing is it could be an easy way to help you towards a spending bonus. Obviously, maybe not anymore with Chase.
Right. Okay. And then this one could affect a lot of people potentially, depending on how this plays out. The last bullet is making a payment using a third-party service, including bill payment transactions not made directly with the merchant or the service provider. So we're talking plastic bill payments, Melio bill payments, some rent payment services. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they'll really show up as a cash advance in a way that would be kind of surprising to me, but that's what they say. So I guess we'll find out. It also makes me wonder, technically, if you just read the letter of the words I wrote here, technically paying your taxes with a credit card would fall under this as well.
Well, a lot of things I feel like Square, right? You're paying Square, you're not directly paying the merchant, right? I mean, you are paying the merchant, but there's a third party processor there. Where's the difference between that or
where's the line?
PayPal and plastic? It's like, I don't know where the line is. And like you said, I can imagine where the line might, I hesitate to use the word ought to be, but where perhaps they intend the line to be. But technically, I don't know how they're gonna, are they gonna one by one code this? Like, okay, plastic is bad, PayPal is good. I don't know. So I guess we'll see.
Right. Yeah, I think we'll see. I mean, it's not out of the question that there's enough running through plastic that they'll specifically code it against plastic, as an example, and then they'd be open to specifically coding against any other thing they see as a problem. I don't actually see why they see it as a problem, but they already limit like what kinds of things you can pay bills to. So
and then they limit the percentage of your credit limit, right? Because I think with Chase cards, what is it, like 20% limit or something?
Yeah, I forget what that is, but I think, that's only on consumer Chase cards.
Yes,
I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That that could be a bummer for people that do a lot of bill pay via plastic for sure. So that could be a downside. I don't know if I'd call it dropping the hammer, but maybe just, on your toe,
adding a big inconvenience in a way. Right. So what if we're wrong? What if gift card purchases are no longer a thing with Chase? I mean, I think that's a stretch, but what are we losing? What are we really losing here? The most obvious to me is the Ink Cash, Ink Plus, 5X at office supply stores gone, right?
Right. I mean, all these Staples fee-free deals, $1,000 a day by the terms of the ad, picking up easy points. Yes, that would be a hit, right? I mean, that would hurt.
Yes, that would hurt. The other thing that would hurt down the road is for Hyatt card holders who have been counting on being able to manufacture spend their way to top tier status. Doesn't matter at all this year because Hyatt's made it so easy to earn top tier status this year. But in future years, it is going to matter. And the World of Hyatt card, of course, lets you spend $5,000 on the card to earn 2 elite nights towards status. If you can't buy gift cards and you can't do bill payments, how are you gonna get more than 5,000-10,000 on the? I mean,
Right.
I guess if you used it everywhere, which is what they want you to do.
Right.
Ouch.
Yeah, right. I mean, that would hurt. That would, and so that would be one that I think people would be upset to see that go. I also think in the shorter term, all these Chase grocery bonuses that people are working on, that would certainly take a hit too, because you got a lot of
Right.
cards offering grocery bonuses with Chase. And if you're not able to get rewards or you're going to get charged a cash advance fee on gift card purchases, that hurts for earning bonus points. And it also hurts for the Chase pay yourself back feature, because it's certainly one of the nice things there is you could go to the grocery store, buy gift cards, and pay yourself back for the gift cards at 1.5 cents each. If you got the Sapphire Reserve, they start coding those purchases as cash advances. Ouch. That won't.
Right.
So nice.
Yeah. And though, let me say though, even if they had written gift cards into the list, I don't think it's likely that purchases at Staples, for example, would code as gift card cash advances. These are stores that sell all kinds of things, and they have to go down to the lowest level detail and say, this part of the purchase is a cash advance, but not this other part. I just don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening either, especially because, you got to always remember that our hobby is niche. We make up a very small percentage of customers. And overall, a lot of people buy gift cards legitimately. And they don't buy $1,000 a day, but right, they're stored exactly. They buy it for a holiday or birthday or whatever. I mean, people buy gift cards. That's why they're there. And so, can you imagine, Susie card holder that bought a gift card for, the kid's birthday, or, the coworker or whatever else, all of a sudden gets charged a cash advance fee for buying a $50 gift card at the, office supply store? Be like, right, are you crazy? What's going on? And so, how is Chase going to differentiate? Are they only going to charge cash advance fees for people buying $1,000 a day? No, they can't. That would be too technically demanding, I think.
Right. So if it happened at all, it would be like Simon Mall gift card purchases,
right?
Giftcardmall.com, giftcards.com, those kind of things. If it happened at all, we don't think it will happen.
I don't think so. I mean, we could be wrong. There's room for that,
but I think we
it.
were wrong once, but
once. I don't remember what it was about, but at some point.
I don't think we've been wrong in 2021 yet.
Not yet. There's time, but not yet. So so I mean, there was a non-event from the gift card angle, but some bad news potentially in terms of those other things we just mentioned.
Yeah. All right. It is time for post roast. And I'm going to give you the option to go first or second.
I'll go second. You go first.
Oh, okay. All right. So this week, I went back and forth about what I was going to roast here, but I decided that it would be.
I gave you that much material,
huh? Yeah, there was a fair amount. I decided that. Do you remember last week I roasted Matthew from Live and Let's Fly and Ben from 1 Mile Time?
Right.
So I realized Matthew from Live and Let's Fly has already roasted you. So I'm just going to read his roast. And I shortened it a little bit. This was your post about saving thousands of miles with United Excursionist Perk. You had found that overnight that United had awards for only 3,000 miles. And so you wrote 2 posts on how to take maximum advantage of that. I'm pretty sure, I wish I could have found it. I couldn't find it. Pretty sure there were places where you said, I don't think this is going away. So if you don't want to do it now, it's something to keep in available. But anyway,
we haven't wrong about anything in 2021, Greg. Slow down.
That's right. So Matthew, and I'm condensing his reply a little bit. He said, "Great job. This is particularly valuable with the current sale going on now. And of course, he was talking about the United sale, which made the awards go as low as 3,000 miles, only for that one day. Now they're back to 5,000 as the least, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is kind of sad. It's unfortunate. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, he was absolutely right. It was a 1-day sale, and little did I know, I just happened to stumble on it. I was doing research for something totally separate, and I was doing comparisons of award prices, and I started stumbling on these United flights that were 3,000 miles. And I was like, 3,000 miles? I've never heard of a United flight that cheap before. And then I searched some more routes and I found more of them. Didn't even cross my mind that it would be an actual published fare sale. Because I mean, this was like midnight, or like it was late at night that I was still going through and compiling this data and stumbling on these things. So I just assumed it was something that I hadn't seen because I hadn't been looking at domestic airfare very much. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Domestic award tickets, I haven't been looking at those at all for a while. So I didn't realize short-term thing. Now they're back up to 5K. But the nice thing is that there are a lot more 5K awards than I used to see. I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing them out of my own home airport. And I never saw those before out of my home airport. And if they dropped it to 3K once, we'll probably do it again. Right?
Right. So I actually think, it's really good for people to spend some time trying to digest Nick's posts on the excursionist perk, because next time this happens, if you're interested in it opens up some great deals, but we're not going to get into the whole reason why and how complicated it is. But
well, you know what? I am not exactly,
yes, we are.
But here's what I'm going to do the next time it comes around. So last year, Iberia had a sale. It was 50% off award tickets to Europe, and so I booked round trip business class to Europe for 34,000 miles with Iberia. Right, so I got a ticket to Spain that was scheduled for this spring. I already had to change it. So it's now scheduled for October of this year, right? So I've got this round trip business class flight to Spain, and I booked it for like 10 or 11 days. Not really sure what I do. I figured I'll figure it out when the time comes, when it gets closer. If it seems realistic, I'll do some planning, right? And I probably won't just go to Madrid. I'll probably go someplace else in Europe, but I hadn't thought about how I'm going to get there, or where else I'm going to go, or what else I'm going to do yet. But here's the thing, like as we get closer to those dates, if I see these 3,000-mile trips come back up, and if I've gotten vaccinated and I feel safe taking a domestic trip, I'll book myself a round trip 6,000-mile same day turn like I talked about in the post. And by using the technique that I showed in the post and taking one round trip domestic flight, I'll be able to get myself a free place to hop over to in Europe later on this year. So I'll be able to fly round trip from Madrid to, I don't know, maybe I want to go up to Iceland and see the Northern Lights, or the top of Norway and see the Northern Lights, or go to Athens or whatever else. Nice thing is that if I see this cheap thing and I decide I want to do a quick domestic getaway, I can nest them like I showed in the post, and hopefully get myself a free round trip in Europe by nesting two separate trips. You got to read the post if you want to know more about it. See the links in the show notes. But that's the kind of way that I look at this with these cheap United flights. It's a great opportunity to build on another trip that you already have semi-planned.
Right.
So that's as far into, and if you
if it happens to be that you could use a round trip domestic flight that is only 6,000 miles round trip or whatever, when there's another sale, all the better. Then you can do these tricks to take a trip that you want to take, and then later get a one-way across one of the international regions that United has, and that leg would be totally free. Actually, you'd get two if you do it the way you described. So
potentially, yeah. So yeah. So there's some fun to be had there. At any rate, go see those posts.
Definitely.
All right, so that was your roast.
That's it.
Okay, good. So I'm going to roast you now, Greg. So this week you wrote about what was probably the deal of the week, and what some people are saying is the deal of the year, or potentially a deal of the year candidate, with this Brex cash account. So this Brex cash account, whole bunch of miles for opening what's essentially like a debit card account. It's not even a credit card. There's no hard pull. There's no Chase 524 effect here. You just basically open a debit card account for a business and you can get
Right.
yourself like 110,000 points. Now, my roast here, Greg, is that you wrote about this and you said you can't do it as a sole proprietor. You have to have an LLC. And so I count on Frequent Miler to break these things down for me, to give me the easy guide, to tell me, okay, here is how you create an LLC in 5 minutes. And you didn't do it, Greg. Why not?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I should have done that. Probably the reason is I don't know. I did do a quick Google search, and there's all kinds of services that sort of advertise for your very cheap LLC creation, and it might be worth doing, but I don't know enough about that topic to know. I do know that each state chart has different like fees involved in LLCs, and I think in Michigan, I think I only pay like $25 a year to maintain my LLC, but I don't remember how much it costs for initial setup. So, yeah, that would be great. It'd be great to know that. It'd be great to know if if the rules that say you have to have an LLC are actually adhered to.
I think they are, because I heard I read a couple of data points from people who got declined for having a sole proprietorship, which was funny because it said one of the reports I read was from somebody who was a little upset because they said, I had to, like, there was a place to mark that I have a sole proprietorship. I still had to fill out all this information just to get denied for having a sole proprietorship. They were kind of annoyed. They hadn't read our post. They had read about it. Somebody that was reading comments and some other site and realized that they were upset about it, or maybe it was on Facebook or something. So I think they are declining people who don't have an LLC legitimately. I wanted to roast you about it, but really I should be roasting myself because I feel like since I don't have an LLC, this is a perfect assignment for me, right? I need to create an LLC.
Oh, there you go.
This Brex Cash account, because I mean, like, it's
You
a lot of
should.
points.
Then we'll be able to answer the question. So we talked about earlier about discussing whether it's worth opening an LLC for this deal, because 110,000 transferable points with very few requirements, besides having an LLC. Is it worth actually setting one up just so that you could qualify for this? And I don't know, but if you do go through the steps, you'll have a better idea of how much is involved. We could give people our judgment. Like, is it worth all this rigmarole, or was it super easy? And of course you should do it. So that would be fantastic. I will mention, just on the topic of this post, that you'll remember that one of the comments was like, meh, this isn't a credit card, it's just a cash account, and you don't get a credit limit, which is true actually. You only get your credit limit on the card. It's not really a debit card, it's just a credit card that's tied to your cash account, and your credit limit is actually less than how much is in your cash account. Your credit limit's only 80% of it. So I've updated the post to say that. I didn't know that when I wrote the post, but anyway, so
it's like a super secured card.
Right. This person went on to say, they're terrible transfer partners, and you only get 1 cent per point if you cash it out, and so it's a terrible deal.
So you only get $1,100 if you cash it out, right?
Only $1,100 with very few requirements. Yeah.
Right.
Terrible deal.
Right. It's terrible. Right up there with right up there with when I hear people say, "Oh, is it worth doing this?" Because you think you get taxed on it, and if you got to pay taxes, is it worth doing it? I'm always like, is it worth showing up to work today? Because you're going to get taxed. You're going to make some money, and you're going to get taxed. Of course it is. Come on, it's easy money,
right?
Of course it's worth paying the tax on it. Yes. Come on, let's not be silly. Yeah. So
right.
$1,100 or 110,000 transferable miles. Hello. That would be a headline credit card offer, and you don't even have to have a credit card. So I got to set up an LLC. I'm very confident it's going to be more work than it's worth, and probably cost me more than it's worth. But it's probably worth experimenting and finding out, right?
I think it is. You need to do that. Better you than me. So I think that brings us to the question of the week.
This week's question came via email from Mark. Mark sent an email asking about the Turkish Airlines Miles and Smiles sweet spot for United flights. Mark said, I was looking at the Turkish Miles and Smiles award chart, and it says that flights in North America are 10,000 miles each way in economy or 15,000 miles each way in business class. Is this a new development? Is the sweet spot gone? Are the 7,500 mile flights a thing of the past? And so, of course, those who have followed along know that the Turkish sweet spot is that domestic U.S. flights are 7,500 miles each way, anywhere domestically in the United States, including to Hawaii in economy class, or 12,500 miles in business class. So is the Turkish sweet spot dead, Greg?
I love that you're kind of trying to trip me up or something with something that you've answered a million times. No, what I remember reading Nick write about is that there's the award chart for the country, so what you'd spend for flying within the United States, and then there's the award chart price for flying within the region, which is North America. And so even the regional price is pretty cheap, but it's not as cheap as flying within the United States. And it's so cool that Hawaii is within the United States in their award chart. So there you go.
Boom. I got it. That's exactly it. Yeah. They don't, the problem is they don't list the domestic award chart on their website anymore. They used to, but they took that off in November of 2019. It's been a long time now since they took down the pricing for domestic Star Alliance flights. So now you only see the regional. So I can see where the confusion comes in, because you think North America, we may think a flight within the United States is North America. It seems reasonable. But again, like Mike said, the region is for international flights within the region. So if you're going to visit anywhere in the U.S., obviously 7,500 miles each way with Turkish, but also if and when the world returns to normal, remember that, Air China is a Star Alliance airline, and flights across China would be 7,500 miles each way or 12,500 in business. Same with Air India in India. So there's some large countries with Star Alliance carriers. So keep those in mind for the future. So if you enjoyed what you're hearing today and you would like to read more about what we've been talking about and get our posts in your email inbox, you want to go to frequentmiler.com/subscribe. Again, that's frequentmiler.com/subscribe to get on our email list. Follow us on Twitter, join our Facebook group, and all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for being out there with us today. We look forward to being here again with you next week.
Bye-bye, everybody. Got the cone of silence on.
Day.
That's right.